Hello. In this video, I will do a GED on undefined expressions. So yeah, we are talking about GED undefined expressions. So this is going to be a very short video. I'm sure it's going to pop up when we do more practice exams. But I just want you to know. So go ahead and write this on your notes in your notebook, and I'll write it out loud and I'll write it again. An undefined expression is when the denominator is equal to zero. That's how I know something is undefined. So, so an example would be uh, 5 over 0 on 10 over 0, 1.5 over 0. So as long as the denominator is 0, it's considered undefined. And also keynote, please do not get confused when the is on the numerator. That is not undefined. Instead, it's equal to 0. So maybe go ahead and write this down. So a lot of people get this confused. So please do not get confused. Do not 0. It's the numerator. Okay. So please not get confused when the 0 is on the numerator. This is not undefined. Instead, it's equal to 0. So for example, if you had 0 over 5, that is not undefined. That's actually 0. And 0 is not undefined. If you have 0 over x plus 5, then that is not undefined. It's 0. So here's a little trick. What I do is, if you're still unsure, put the put it into the calculator. If the answer says arrow, then it's undefined. If it says 0, it's 0, right? So for example, if you put 1 or 5 for 0, hypothetically, in their calculator, and if it says error, that's how you know it's undefined. If you put 0 over 5 and calculator says 0, not undefined, then it's just 0. Okay. So don't get that. It's very simple to easily get those two confused. Um, just know if the 0 is on the bottom, it is undefined. If the 0 is on the top, it is not undefined. It's actually 0, which is technically a real number. Okay. So go ahead and write this down because I got it clear and do question one. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and pause. If you need that, go ahead and pause, go back, rewind a bit. So let us start with question one. It says, which of the following expression is undefined when x is equal to 1? Okay. So uh you can test each one out. So if you test A, wherever you see an x, plug in 1. So it's going to be 1 plus 2. And then wherever you see an x, plug in 1. So 2. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. Now, you got a problem, right? 3 over 0 is definitely fine. So this is the 1. If I try B, let's see what happens. Wherever you see next, plug in positive 1. You get 1 minus 1, and then this one, wherever you see next, plug in 1, so it's 1 plus 2. So 1 minus 1 is 0. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, this is not bad. If you put 0 over 3, that is not undefined. It's actually 0. Right? That's a real number. That's perfectly fine. Let me try C real quick. So if we're C next to 1, so it's 1 plus 1, and then it's 3 times 1 plus 3. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 3, that's 6. Okay, so it's a real number, not undefined. So forget about C, D. What about D? Works the next one now, so it's 2 times 1 minus 5, and then 1 plus 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 5 is negative 3. 1 plus 1, okay, so this is a real number. So the only one that gives you a 0 on the bottom is the letter A. Let's move on to 2. Uh, Question 2 says, which of the following values of x makes the expression undefined? Okay, so this is what you don't have you could test each one, which would take quite a long time and a lot of time. You don't have that much time when you take these exams. So what you can do, because this is a rational function, and what do I mean by a rational function? It's basically in P over X cubed form. So basically anything that's in fraction. So for example, 1 over X is a rational, 3 over X plus 1 is a rational. You have a numerator and a denominator, right? So what does it mean when something's undefined? It's basically if you set the bottom to 0, that's how you know. So what we could do to make your life easier at the same time is simply set the bottom to 0. So our bottom or our denominator is 0. I mean, is 6x squared plus 5x. Set that to 0 and then solve for x. So how do how do I solve for x? You're going to have to factor, right? And how do I factor 6x squared plus 5x? I would always first check if you can take out a greatest common factor in GCF. And this is one term and this is one term. It looks like they both have an x in common. See here, you have two x's or an x squared, and then over here you have one x. So what is the largest amount of x's you can take out? So let me repeat that again. Um, what is the largest amount of x's you can take out? So this one has two, this has one x. The largest amount of x you can take out evenly would be 1x, right? And then can we take a constant? So we have a 6 and a 5. How I see it is, can you think of a number that they're both divisible by? That won't give you like a decimal? No, I don't see a number, so I can't take out a constant. So my GCF is x. And then I can't really change this, so I'm going to need a 6. And I'm going to need one more x because when you FOIL this out, what happens is when you FOIL this out, your power is this is like a visible one, this is a visible one. And when you FOIL it out, when you're multiplying exponents, you're really adding. So x times x or x1 times x1 is x2, right? And then you have a plus 5, right? Equals to 0. Now your goal is to solve for x. What you could do is set each to 0. So set x equals 0 and set 6x plus 5 equals to 0, right? And I'm going to solve for x. I'm going to subtract 5, get 6x equals negative 5. Divide this by 6, get x equals negative 5 cents. So these two values will make the bottom a 0, which will make it undefined. So it's going to be 0, so Roman numeral 3, and -5, 6. So that's Roman numeral 2. So our answer will be Roman numeral 2 and Roman numeral 3. So it looks like letter B. 2. Yes. Okay. So that wasn't too bad. You just if you have a rational function and you want to figure out where it's undefined, simply set the bottom to 0. Solve for x. That's it. Okay, question 3. Which of the following values of x makes the expression undefined? So this is very similar to the last one. Um, it's a rational function, so you basically set the bottom to 0, right? Now, the good news of this problem is it's in the most factored form, right? We don't have to worry about taking factoring this out or finding out the GCF if you have one. You just simply, so you have x minus 1 and then 3x plus 3. All you got to do is set each parentheses to 0. Or some people can do it in their head. Some people will see that x is going to be +1 and then x is also going to be -1. And this is what they're really doing in their head. They're setting each parentheses to 0 and solving for x. So for example, you have the parentheses x minus 1, set that to 0, and then you have this other parentheses, 3x plus 3 equals to 0. Okay? So go ahead and solve for x for this one. We're going to have to add 1 to both sides. So you get x equals 1. And then over here, you're going to solve for x, and subtract 3 sides. So you get x -3, and then divide this by 3. Get x equals -1. Okay, so these are the two x values that will make the expression undefined. So it would be 1 and -1. I don't see a -1, fortunately. Let me double check. No, I guess they just want one of them, so we'll just use positive. Okay. I'm gonna check my work because I would never want to give you the wrong answer. Okay, perfect. So this was just a small taste of undefined expression. I know when we actually do some practice exams, this will all come up. So this is why I'm doing this little by little so you don't get confused. And also one more thing, I may be talking slow because I understand that GED is a lot of you may be taking the GED with you might have taken a long break from work. So this is why I'm talking kind of slow and taking my time so you can understand it very well.